Hey friend, welcome to Grounded, the vestibular podcast. I'm Dr. Madison Oak, aka the Vertigo Doctor. I am the vestibular physical therapist who is here to help you with all things dizziness, imbalance, and vertigo. In this podcast, we explore the fascinating world of vestibular disorders. Come with me as we dive headfirst into a journey to discover the mysteries of the brain, the inner ear, and the balance mechanisms that keep us grounded. Whether you've been managing dizziness for one day or 25 years, we're going to get real about what it takes to manage dizziness, handle the anxiety cycle, and thrive, not just survive, with your vestibular disorder. First, I want to remind you that this is never medical advice. Remember, this podcast is for informational purposes only and may not be the best fit for you and your personal situation. It shall not be construed as medical advice. The information and education provided here is not intended or implied to supplement or replace professional medical treatment, advice, and or diagnosis. Always check with your own physician, medical professionals, and healthcare team before trying or implementing any information found here. Hello, and welcome back to Grounded. This week's win of the week is by Anna. She says, "Win. I just got back from a 3-week vacation from Alabama to South Dakota and Montana. I drove all the way there and back. It was my daughter's senior trip. It was wonderful and amazing and super hard at times with the dizziness. Had a lot of people praying, and by God's grace, we made it. So thankful we were able to do it, even though it was still pretty tough at times. I was pretty good outside, walking, hiking all but one trail, which is called the Hippie Hole. I should have modified that one. That's okay. And kayaking. She did all of these things, you guys." But struggled mostly walking into stores, at the hotels, and Airbnbs at night. The weather was beautiful out there and it was much needed relief from the hot, humid, stormy weather in Alabama. I absolutely am obsessed with this win for a lot of reasons, mainly because a road trip that long is legitimately difficult for anyone, especially when you have a vestibular disorder. Being like, if you are not from the States, I want you to look at a map of the United States and see just how far it is to drive from Alabama to South Dakota to Montana, Montana to South Dakota, and South Dakota to Alabama. It is not close, you guys. It's not close. It's a lot of hours. So seriously, this is an absolutely huge win. She's like, yeah, there are still some things that were difficult for me, like had to go to different stores and Airbnbs and whatever where we were staying. But overall, was able to do hikes and walks and kayaking and that literally being in a boat, you guys. All of the things that she wanted to do with one that she should have she quote should have modified, but seems like she still got through. Huge, absolutely huge. So congratulations to Anna. I'm really excited that you did all of that. And I also love that you're like, yeah, these things were still a little bit hard for me, but I still made it through. That just gives you things to work on for the future. I mean, as I read this when it's July 2nd, and she has only been a member since February 18th. So that's like 4.5 or 5-ish, 4.5-ish months, I think, if I'm doing my math correctly. Anyway, that is my point. It's not been that long. Like, these things take time. And at the end of the day, she's doing it. I'm really proud of you. Congratulations to Anna. Okay, let's get in to the episode. This episode is all about BPPV and the Epley Maneuver. People are using the Epley Maneuver wrong all the time, and it drives me up the wall. So let's talk about what to actually do about it. And when you should use it, I guess I should say. So let's first talk about BPPV. BPPV stands for benign paroxysmal positional vertigo. That stands for benign, not life-threatening. Even though it feels scary, I know I've had it, but it's not life-threatening. It's not going to kill you. Paroxysmal, it comes on suddenly. Positional, triggered by head movements or position changes. And vertigo, the false sensation that you or the room around you is moving, sliding, or spinning. Generally, you will see the room move. Diagnostically, we need to see your eyes move in a certain pattern of nystagmus that needs to match the proper test canal. Now, this is like a lot more science that we can get into in a different episode because this is about the Epley maneuver, not necessarily the what is BPPV, but it is still important to address. This is a mechanical problem of the inner ear, specifically in your semicircular canals, which help detect angular movement and maintain your balance. There's also a linear detector in your inner ear called your otolith organs. You have a utricle and a saccule. Those organs contain tiny crystals called otoconia. And they are normally embedded in like a jello jelly like structure called the and help you sense linear movement and responses to gravity. But sometimes, just because we are human, those crystals break loose and float into your semicircular canal, usually into the posterior canal, most commonly. And then your brain ends up getting the wrong signal, thinking that you are spinning when you are not due to inertia of the fluid in your semicircular canal, which again, you can go listen to the BPPV specific episode, but this causes intense spinning when you move your head in certain positions. That being said, vestibular migraine can also cause this exact same phenomenon. And I don't mean like the exact same phenomenon as in it causes you to it I'm not saying that it causes you to break off crystals, even though people with migraine are technically more likely to get BPPV than people without. But what I do mean is that vestibular migraine can have positional vertigo that looks just like the positional vertigo of BPPV. And a lot of people are sitting out here trying to treat their positional vertigo from VM with an Epley maneuver, or just any dizziness in general with an Epley maneuver, because that is what the internet says to do. But let me tell you, it is not the thing to do. It is not going to work. The Epley maneuver is a repositioning technique designed to guide crystals, the otoconia, out of the semicircular canal and back where they belong in the utricle. It's not magic, it's physics and gravity, even though it feels like magic. When I used to treat a lot of BPPV, which is what I mainly did back when I worked in the office in New York City before I started like my VM type practice, I got a very big fan club very, very quickly because this is one thing that you can go to the office and in like between 1 to 3 visits, it should be gone. If you have, quote, stubborn BPPV, crystals that just won't move, it's presenting weird, things like that, it's actually usually VM. That I can kind of say across the board. It is oftentimes VM more often than you think it is. So do know that going in. So the Epley maneuver, you basically start by sitting upright. Don't do it just based on um, my verbal directions, but you start by sitting upright. Your head is turned towards the affected ear. Then then you lay back quickly. Your head will hang off of the table or bed. Then 30 to 60 seconds later, your head is slowly turned to the other side. When you get into that first position, though, before the first turn, when you straight lay back, we should be able to see, this is called the Dix-Hallpike. We should be able to see your eyes move in a very specific pattern of upbeating torsional nystagmus towards the downward ear, which is very confusing, but someone who has seen it a lot of times should know exactly what they are looking at and what they are looking for. And then we roll you basically in the opposite direction, and then you're brought back to a sitting position. Each one of these positions should be held for a decent amount of time. And the whole process takes between like 5 and 10-ish minutes, and many people feel relief immediately. But this maneuver is only, and I mean only, for posterior canal BPPV. If you have BPPV in the horizontal canal, guess what's not going to work? The Epley maneuver. If you have vestibular neuritis, guess what's not going to work? The Epley maneuver. If you have SCDS or vestibular migraine or neuritis or labyrinthitis or acoustic neuroma or any other form of dizziness that is not BPPV in the posterior canal, the Epley maneuver is not going to work. And even if you do have BPPV, if you do it on the left side instead of the right side and it's in your right ear, it's also not going to work. So you have to be very specific. And this is why I recommend going to someone who sees a lot of this. And here are the things that I find people kind of get tripped up on or end up messing with people or making them worse. Here are like the main ones. There are other things that I'm sure that maybe I didn't say or do or whatever, but here are the main ones that trip people up. Number one is you're treating the wrong canal. So you have horizontal canal BPPV, but in you're trying to do the Epley maneuver. That's not going to work. Or you're trying to treat left posterior canal BPPV, but it's right posterior canal BPPV. Something like that. It's actually vestibular migraine, which there's a whole entire episode we have about VM versus BPPV. I highly recommend you go listen to that. I will try and link it in the show notes. You do the head tilt part too early and transfer it from your posterior canal to your horizontal canal, and now you have horizontal canal BPPV. Still treatable, but kind of more of a pain in the butt to treat a little bit, but still very treatable. Like we can always get rid of it. But it's just annoying, more annoying. Your provider keeps saying every session it switches sides. It doesn't just switch sides. Your two vestibular systems are far from each other on the opposite sides of your head. Your crystals are not jumping from the left ear to the right ear. It is not a thing. Not a thing. You can have it in both ears, but it's pretty rare and typical for people who are like post head injury that can happen. So yeah, but it's not a thing to jump back and forth. Um, you've done it so many times for the wrong diagnosis that now you're afraid to lay flat. I've seen that happen to a lot of people where you have done like literally 1,000 Epley maneuvers or 1,000 barbecue rolls, which is the horizontal canal maneuver. Now that you've done it so many times, you're like afraid to lay flat because every time you lay flat, you keep getting BPPV, but you keep like trying to address it with a maneuver, but the maneuver's not working. Also super common. Um, and then you're not, I think I said this one, but you're not doing the right maneuver for the right canal. And then also, I didn't write this one down, but I just had this thought thinking that all vertigo is BPPV. That's not the case. So, like, not all BPPV is not all positional vertigo or all vertigo is BPPV. And if you have BPPV, especially in the posterior canal, and you do the correct maneuver for it, it should work like successfully 80 to 90% of the time. That is huge in medicine. Like, this is why I'm talking about like the fan club situation because nothing in medicine is that effective. Literally nothing. So success rates of like 80 to 90% when done correctly is massive, meaning that you're either doing it wrong, your provider's looking at the wrong thing, you have the wrong side, you have the wrong whatever, if it's not working. This shouldn't be going on for months and months and months. Things that you can try and do to prevent BPPV, normalize your cholesterol, your blood pressure, your blood sugar, slash insulin. Check out your bone density, get a DEXA scan, because those crystals are made up of the same thing as bone. So if you have low bone mineral density in your bones, you probably do in your otoliths as well, which will make them slough off even more. Vitamin D and calcium as well. So check into all of those as well. Remember, sleeping upright is not preventing your BPPV. It simply does not work that way. If you have any questions about BPPV, please let me know. I love you, and I will see you next time on Grounded. Bye.